Story 1. I don't like flowers, but if a girl gives me one, I'd go to war for her. Story 2. I think that is very sweet and may be a sign that she is interested in seeing me more often. Story 3. I would be surprised, to be honest. Then I would start looking into preserving the flower, such as arranging it in a vase and trimming it properly. Story 4. When we first started dating, my girlfriend gave me flowers. I had never received flowers before, and it made me really happy. Story 5. It's not really something I want, but I would appreciate the time and effort to choose some. Story 6. My ex surprised me one day with flowers. It was so thoughtful. A few months earlier, I had mentioned to her that most men only ever receive flowers after they die. Story 7. It is nice but awkward unless it is at my home, where I would have a place to put it. Story 8. Honestly, given the distinct lack of affection from human sources I am feeling in my life, I might legitimately start crying. Story 9. I would probably be confused, but I would remember that person for a long time. Story 10. As a teenager, a girl and I exchanged a dried leaf we found on the ground. I gave her one and she gave me one. It was meant as a joke but became sentimental to both of us. Sometimes it's the little things that mean the most. Story 11. Yes, I would love that. I have received flowers before. It feels good, man. Story 12. That's how my current girlfriend got me 5 years ago. On our second date, she brought me a bouquet. I would, and have, fought tooth and nail for that woman. Story 13. I have a rule. If I am talking to someone on a dating app and we get a really good vibe, hit it off, and have a lot in common and chemistry, I show up on the first date with flowers for him. Not a huge bouquet to make a spectacle, but something subtle and well chosen. I get such a kick out of seeing them melt in wonder and disbelief. They get all excited. I love it. We should give men flowers more often. Statistically, they receive more flowers at their funeral than during their life. Story 14. It would feel nice, but then I would wonder what the hell I am supposed to do with it. Story 15. I have been given a bouquet of flowers. It was a lovely gesture, and I appreciated it. Story 16. Context required. Random encounters on the street are likely a scam. My girlfriend is cute. Story 17. My college held a Secret Santa event for our class in 2022. I received a pink teddy bear from one of the girls. I do not talk to her often, but I still keep the teddy bear in my drawer. Story 18. Every time a girl does things like that, I fall for her hard. Story 19. I dated a girl who sent me cookies at work. My heart will never be the same. Story 20. I would be surprised but honestly quite touched. I do not really receive gifts often, but it would certainly make me think of the girl who saw the flower and thought of me. I might press it to preserve it. Story 21. One did, and I kept it in my car's dashboard until it was totaled. I think I still have it in a box somewhere. Story 22. Flattered. It's refreshing to sometimes be reminded that I'm human. Story 23. It would be the same as if she gave me a donut or a book. I would be very grateful. Story 24. I'd be honored and happy. Bonus points for favorite color or flower. Story 25. I would plant them and grow more flowers. Real men know how to cook, garden, and build. Alpha males know only death. Story 26. I would feel like a medieval knight, compelled to fight for her honor in the next jousting tournament. Story 27. Most likely I would find it hard to breathe. I am allergic to a lot. Story 28. It would tell me that she does not know me because I am severely allergic to flowers. Story 29. I'd probably think it was some kind of joke. I don't like flowers anyway. Story 30. I am extremely confused. It is a completely unexpected experience and raises more questions than it answers. Story 31. It happened before. I almost forgot, but I remember how much I loved it. Story 32. I would assume she was a Romani woman and that she would ask me for money for accepting it. Story 33. Happy. It's very rare to get flowers, compliments, or kindness from someone who isn't already connected. Story 34. Early in our relationship, my partner said he had never received flowers, so I bought him some. He cried. I continue to buy him flowers occasionally, especially when I am proud of something he has done. I make a point of telling him and the men in my circle of friends that I am proud of them when appropriate. Men do not receive enough flowers or praise. Story 35. I started dating a florist about 6 months ago. I did not tell her because I wanted it to feel genuine. I had never received a flower and had always been waiting for that day. After about 3 months, she brought me my first flowers. I almost cried. Those flowers are now dried and placed in my glass cabinet, and I will cherish them as long as they last. I receive flowers every few weeks now and could not be happier. She owns her business and regularly fills orders for men and women. Story 36. I do not know, maybe shake and try not to cry, but I would certainly thank her and bake something for her. I can bake cakes and cookies. Story 37. I received flowers from a girl once, and it made me cry because I was so happy. I don't particularly want flowers, but the gesture meant a lot to me. Story 38. One of my friends put it in a vase and cried, even though it died a week later. I was laughing out loud, and my boyfriend cried too. Poor losers. Story 39. My daughter does it all the time. Dad is happy with every single dandelion. It makes me smile. Story 40. I regularly receive a flower from the children I teach. I put it behind my ear, and it brightens my day. If a girl gave me flowers, I would buy a vase. I think they would brighten my day at home just as much. Story 41. I would be so confused that I would think about it for the rest of my life. Story 42. I assume she thought I would like one, so I appreciated the gesture, although I do not really care for them myself. Story 43. I never considered it a possibility. I probably feel sparks of confusion in my head and might cry. Story 44. I would completely miss the signal and still probably assume she did not like me. Story 45. It's commonly said that men only receive flowers once, at their funeral. If a woman were to give me flowers, I'd be utterly smitten. Story 46. I hung it upside down in a dry place so I could keep it as long as possible. I eventually forgot when and why I got it, but I always remembered who gave it to me. Story 47. I am confused and looking for a catch because no girl approaches me without wanting something. Story 48. I would probably press it and keep it. It would be a special thing. Story 49. I would drop to one knee and pledge my undying loyalty to her cause. I might smite her enemies or lay down my life to protect her. And honestly, I do not even like flowers. Story 50. I would be honored and very happy, yet unsure what to do with it. Story 51. Flowers are nice, but it is a shame that we treat their corpses as gifts. Story 52. If I were very masculine, I would not really care, but I would say thank you. Because I am a femboy, I would really appreciate it. Story 53. I would keep the flower alive as long as possible, take a picture every day and send it to her. I have never received a flower in my life, so it would be special. Story 54. Probably the same thing a woman does. That's nice and I appreciate it. But what on earth am I supposed to do with a flower at the start of an evening? Cheryl? Story 55. It depends. If it is a random woman on the street, I would assume she is filming a YouTube or TikTok video. If it is someone I know, my reaction would depend on the person. I would either assume she is making fun of me, handing out flowers to everyone for some reason, or I would be genuinely moved. Story 56. Only if it is a dry, flat thistle wrapped in a handmade handkerchief. If you know. I like tulips. I would die if a girl gave me a single plum-colored or fuchsia-colored tulip. Story 57. I got a flower in my coconut Mai Tai last night, given to me by our waitress. I said, "Thank you for the flower. It's beautiful," laughing out loud. Story 58. What's the context? If a random woman on the street gave me a flower, I would be confused. If I were dating someone and she gave me a flower, I would appreciate the gesture. If a friend gave me a flower for no reason, it would be odd, but if I were ill or grieving, I might appreciate it. Story 59. Sweet. When I was single, I did not know what to do with it. Typical single male household. Story 60. I would love it. Depending on other factors, I would try to understand whether it is friendly or more than that. In any case, I would assume she wanted to do something kind for me. Story 61. Personally, I do not really like them. If I were single, I would appreciate the gesture but consider it uninspired. If my wife did it, I would assume she wanted to own a flower. Story 62. I would probably blush like crazy, but I would happily take them. Story 63. I would call the nurse and ask for medications to treat my schizophrenia. Story 64. Fuck yeah, a flower. I'd wear that and ask her out on the spot. Story 65. It would absolutely make my day and become a happy little memory that my mind would constantly return to, even years later. Story 66. I saw a short YouTube video that said giving a man banana bread is like giving a woman a flower. Cookies would be great too. Story 67. I think it's sweet, but I do not understand the elation and pure joy people feel when they give flowers. It baffles me. I am a 34-year-old single man who has given women flowers maybe 5 times in my life. I should add that the last woman I gave flowers to knew I was interested in a romantic relationship. She kept the dead roses someone else had given her for months. Things did not go well with my flowers. Story 68. Is it edible in a pot or something I have to carry because the gesture matters to you and then care for it knowing it will die anyway? I am joking. Story 69. I had a woman over for dinner recently. I made everything from scratch. Lasagna, garlic bread, and dessert. She brought a salad and gave me 2 red roses. She wants to hang out again next weekend. Really, I just wanted to do something for someone, since I have not enjoyed someone's company in a very long time. Turns out she may be interested in me. Story 70. This happened a few times, and more often than not I felt happy and relieved a couple of hours later. Story 71. I'm in my whimsical mood, bro. Give me flowers and let me frolic. Story 72. If it were one of those TikTok creators who forces a rose on people while filming and then complains that people rejected them, I would ignore the creator completely. A rose has no intrinsic value. Only the sentiment behind giving it matters. If there is no meaning behind the romantic gesture, then it is just low-key manipulation or love bombing. Story 73. I would feel flattered and curious, but it really depends on my previous relationship with the woman. If she were a random woman versus someone I already knew, my reaction would be different. The situation also matters. Story 74. I am a woman. I once gave my ex-boyfriend flowers, and he asked what he should do with them because they will die soon. Story 75. Pretty good. Probably appreciated and very likely overwhelmed. Story 76. My girlfriend and I give each other flowers all the time. I love it. Story 77. I am flattered and would reciprocate, but I will make my interest clear in the kindest way so as not to lead her on. Story 78. That is very nice. I also think it is a waste of money, and I am not generally interested in receiving them compared to other gifts, but I will not say so. Story 79. I received flowers from previous girlfriends, and I really liked them. They showed they were thinking of me during the day, which made me very happy. Story 80. My wife gives me flowers several times a year. I give her flowers once a month. No big deal. Story 81. A stranger? I would assume they were trying to peddle something, and I would not be interested. If it were someone I knew, I would, of course, appreciate it. Story 82. I am not into flowers, but if someone gave me one, I would appreciate the gesture and be thankful. Story 83. I would be completely smitten. It would win me over in a heartbeat if she had not already. Story 84. I would love it, especially if my wife did it. A couple of years ago, my wife mentioned that I wasn't bringing home flowers as often as I used to. I retorted that she had never bought me flowers. She never mentioned it again, but I started bringing home flowers more frequently after that. Funny how that works. Story 85. I have been given flowers and houseplants before. I think it is very sweet, and it adds a nice bit of color to the room where you place them. I did not have a vase, so I used a Guinness pint glass. Story 86. I would love it, to be honest. I think everyone, regardless of gender, should receive flowers. Story 87. 3 weeks into our relationship, my girlfriend bought me flowers. She was still in college and did not have much money, but she spent her last few dollars on the flowers. At that moment, I realized I was going to marry her. She holds my heart, and I cannot wait to spend my life with her. Story 88. I would say, hell yeah, then hang it upside down from the ceiling to dry and preserve it forever. Story 89. I am a married man. If a woman other than my wife gave me flowers, I would ask her about the intention behind the gift. If she were interested in me, I would politely decline and tell her I am married. If she were just being friendly and wanted to make a stranger happy, I would accept the gift and tell my wife right away. Either way, I would be happy. Story 90. Finally, some love. Dear woman, I'll defend you against anything from now on until I draw my last breath. Story 91. And now I have a flower. If I had another, I would have 2 flowers. Story 92. Receiving a flower from a random girl in public, someone I've never met, would naturally raise suspicion. Who are you and why are you giving me this dead or dying flower? Giving a potted plant is totally different from handing over a bouquet of cut flowers and watching them wither over the next week. I understand it might be meant to brighten a stranger's day, but an honest compliment would go further. If the giver is a little girl, you do not offer anything to an unfamiliar child. I would be just as hesitant. I'm in my 50s. 30 years ago, I would have answered very differently. Story 93. My reaction would depend on who gives it to me. My wife. Ah, that is odd but lovely. My daughter. How cute. I love it. Just about anyone else, whoa. Awkward. I have no idea how to respond. I do not have the social skills to handle this. Story 94. My God. This subreddit is absolute trash. 56 million members? Are we acting like 4-year-olds? I am out. Story 95. It really depends on how she gives me the flower. An oleander flower? That's very sweet. Oleander ground up in my coffee? That would be deadly. Story 96. I would think it was very nice, but it also suggested that she does not know me very well because I am allergic to many of them. Story 97. I would be a little confused, but appreciate the gesture. I am not going to question it too much, though. Story 98. I would be elated. I love flowers and frequently buy them for my wife, but between you and me, they are half for me. Story 99. I feel great and loved. What is this question? Do you want to hear that receiving flowers hurts my masculine ego? Story 100. I expressed to my fiancée how much it sucks that men never receive flowers, and now she buys me them more than I buy them for her. My office regularly has fresh flowers on the windowsill. I think it is a wonderful show of love and affection. Story 101. I would be quite happy. Flowers are nice. I do not know why anyone would be so angry as to put them in all capital letters. Story 102. I love having flowers in my house and buy them regularly for myself, so they would be greatly appreciated. Story 103. When I worked as a stage actor, I often received flowers, mostly from women but sometimes from men. It is a tradition, and flowers are lovely. Story 104. My ex-girlfriend bought me flowers. It was a nice gesture and it felt good. Story 105. I would not know what to do with a flower. If she did it to be purposely quirky and weird, I would be annoyed. That would be self-serving and I would be stuck with a flower. If this is how she genuinely shows affection, it would be appreciated as a symbolic gesture. Story 106. Is she just some random girl? I would look for the camera and assume it is a prank. Story 107. Getting my man some flowers never occurred to me. Thanks for the beautiful reminder. Story 108. I would cherish the memory forever, just like the 5 compliments I received in 42 years of living. Story 109. I would be surprised because I rarely talk to girls. I would ask her if she is up for coffee. Story 110. I am annoyed. I don't like flowers. Now I have to do something with them. I feel she wasted money, Story 111. I would love it. A sign that someone cares for me is wonderful. Story 112. I do not like cut flowers. I feel they are a complete waste and will just end up being thrown away. But I appreciate the gesture. I always prefer a thoughtful, lasting gift, something I want or would appreciate. Story 113. My now fiancé proposed to me with 50 stems of daisies. It was one of the absolute sweetest things anyone has ever done for me. Story 114. I would say thank you, and the next time I see her give her a small gift. Probably not a flower, because I do not know anything about flowers. Story 115. It would be awkward. I can't lie, but maybe that's just me being old school. Story 116. I would say thank you. I am not into flowers, but I know they wanted to do something nice, and that is enough. Story 117. I think it is sweet and thoughtful of her. Story 118. When I finished my first year at my new job and we were in our third year of dating, my wife bought me a bottle of wine, flowers, a candle that smelled like leather and tobacco, and a gift card to my favorite clothing store. It was nice to receive flowers. Story 119. I was at the Irish Channel Parade in New Orleans, where the Irish men in the parade gave out flowers to women in exchange for a kiss on the cheek. Then a tall, gorgeous, red-headed woman from the same group approached, handed me a flower, and kissed me on the cheek. I was bowled over. I wished she had come back with more flowers. Story 120. It's a sweet gesture, but it doesn't do a damn thing for me. I'd rather she gave me a quart of mobile oil. Story 121. As a man who works as a florist, I want to normalize giving men flowers. We love it. Story 122. That would make my year. I would absolutely love it and might even wear it. Story 123. It depends on the woman. If she is someone I am dating or pursuing, it would melt my heart and I would appreciate the thought. If she is someone I am not attracted to, I would feel uncomfortable and a little embarrassed, though I would still appreciate the compliment. The same is true for women, because we are all human and share the same basic emotions. Story 124. As a botanist, I would be horrified that some monster has just killed an innocent plant and presented its kill to me. Story 125. I appreciate the gesture, but I really don't like flowers, so I would feel very awkward. Story 126. I love it. Flowers are so pretty to look at. They don't have to be just for girls. My girlfriend gave me some for our anniversary, and it's nice to have them at work to look at instead of just random decorations. Story 127. Wonderful. It would be a lovely gesture. I was given a bouquet recently for a job I did. An older, conservative coworker could not understand me receiving flowers. Story 128. I have expressed my disdain for flowers many times, so I would not appreciate the gesture. Story 129. 2 days ago, I was moved, so I gave her a huge hug and kept the flower on my desk until it became too desiccated. Flowers are nice. Story 130. I tell my wife about it and brag about how I still got it. Story 131. If it were some random girl, I would be suspicious and wonder what she wants. Story 132. My wife knows I like tulips. Not only has she given me tulips, but she's also taken me to the Tulip Festival in Holland, Michigan. I recommend it 10 out of 10. Story 133. I would be elated. I love flowers, but I would prefer a potted plant that I could add to my home and care for. Story 134. I love it. My wife gave me flowers and we talk for hours. Story 135. I would feel a little weird, but I bet my wife would be pissed. Story 136. I would be over the moon. There is a saying, a sort of riddle that stuck with me. When do men receive their first flower? At their own funeral. It perfectly encapsulates how society treats men as if they do not need emotional support. I am human. I have emotional needs too. It is not about the flower. It is about someone showing me I deserve kindness. Story 137. I will remember it for the rest of my life, like the random compliment I received about 10 years ago from a stranger passing by. Story 138. I immediately become suspicious with my hackles raised. Something is happening, and there is a 50-50 chance it is not in my favor. Story 139. Upset. Leave that shit where it belongs, growing in the ground. Story 140. I experienced this with my former partner about 14 years ago. We knew each other online for months before getting together. And when she met me, she brought me a flower. It was nice. On a personal level, I am ambivalent about flowers and gardening in general. But the gesture was absolutely lovely. Story 141. It is far safer to give a woman flowers and have them received well than to give flowers to a man. The equivalent would be home-baked cookies or something similar. I would be confused and a bit bothered if she gave me a flower. Story 142. I have been hurt too many times and too deeply. I would have questions. Thank you, but what is up? I hate feeling like that. Story 143. I am not asking for flowers. But if she gave me one, I would probably find her irresistible. It reminds me of a dorky girl who called me by name once. I had not known she knew it, and I suddenly found her attractive. Story 144. Stoked. My girlfriend brought me orchids a few weeks ago, and it occurred to me that at 47, it was the first time I had ever received flowers. She is amazing. Story 145. It was actually nice. I was out and got stopped in the park, and they gave me some flowers and words of encouragement. I really appreciated it. Story 146. Ugh. I don't know what to do with this, but I have to accept it and pretend I like it so I don't hurt her feelings. Story 147. I would love it. It is not the what. It is the who and the why. Story 148. Is this a joke or an attempt to brighten my day? I need context for a clear answer unless this is simply to farm karma. Story 149. I would find it very sweet and think about her more. Story 150. My girlfriend gives me gifts from time to time, and I am always delighted. Story 151. I gave my husband surprise flowers and he blushed for days. He had never expected a woman to give him flowers, and he loved it. Story 152. A single flower? My first thought would be to suspect some sort of prank or a mocking social gesture I am not aware of. If the situation feels genuine, it would probably make my day and most likely the rest of my week. Story 153. About a month ago, a female friend gave me an origami bird out of nowhere. I smile every time I see it, like a little kid. Imagine how I would feel if a girl gave me a flower. Story 154. I would be over the moon if a woman gave me anything. Wait, I got the finger the other day. Does that count? Story 155. I would be glad, but later I would not know what to do with it. Story 156. I'm allergic, so I can't use them. I would not say that to the girl. I would thank her and keep them until it was safe to discard them out of her view. Then I would take 4 tablets of Benadryl and expect an 8-hour nap because the hay fever would probably already be starting to subside. Story 157. I think someone is making a video of this for some bullshit social media content. Story 158. Most men are so completely starved for attention from the opposite sex that their minds would be blown by such a simple act. Story 159. My wife sometimes buys me flowers. It makes me happy, and I kind of like it. I'm not into flowers, but I love the gesture. Story 160. A woman sent me flowers after spending several nights with me and then returning to her home country. I'm still riding that high almost 40 years later. Story 161. I have been very flattered by it and have remembered it fondly for more than 30 years. Story 162. My wife gives me flowers from time to time, and I like it. Story 163. I would immediately explain it to my wife, who would question me like the Inquisition. Story 164. How long do I have to hold this? What am I supposed to do with it? Story 165. I mentioned this to my wife years ago because there were posts saying men don't get flowers. I brought it up more as it's kind of strange when you think about it. Why can't men get flowers too? Not that I was asking for flowers specifically, just starting conversation. Now she gets me flowers once or twice a year, sometimes out of nowhere. It's incredibly sweet, and I don't have the heart to tell her I never asked for them. They are affordable and brighten the home no matter who receives them. I love her to death. Story 166. I would probably thank her and carry it around awkwardly because I would not know what to do with it and would not want to appear rude or unappreciative. Story 167. I love it. My wife buys me flowers on special occasions. Story 168. I am so happy that someone gave me a flower. I will cherish it. Story 169. I will feel sad that a flower was cut from its plant and given to me, and I will advise her not to pick or buy such flowers. Story 170. I'd ask what it was for. Realistically, there is almost no chance a woman would give a flower to a man. For some reason, the idea that men appreciate flowers or the same things women do is still hard to understand. So I'd assume the flower was for a fundraising event or to raise awareness about a disease. Story 171. Nice gesture. I would feign liking the flowers because she was thinking of me, but I do not care about them. Story 172. From the producers of Where Do I Put My Hands? Comes Where Do I Put This Flower? Story 173. I do not particularly care for flowers, but I would be very flattered and would act as if it were the most meaningful gesture ever, because it is. Story 174. I would feel amazing. I do not really want flowers, but if a woman gives them to me, you can be sure I am going to put them in a vase. Story 175. My girlfriend gives me flowers and it is one of the best feelings ever. Story 176. It is the gesture behind it for me, and so help anyone who messes with her. Story 177. Be very thankful, then do nothing about it. That gesture could mean literally anything, and acting on it is too risky. Story 178. I have never cried tears of joy, but that would make me cry for the first time. Story 179. As a gay man, I would feel flattered and confused but still smile. Then I would wonder what she wanted me to buy. Story 180. A woman sent me flowers at work. It was very kind, but she was not my wife, so I had to explain to my family, since I was working in the family business at the time, why a stranger had sent flowers. I had made sure she got home safely after she had drunk a little too much. Story 181. All caps flowers. Well, it would be nice. I like flowers. Story 182. Introduce myself and ask about the intent behind the flower. Hopefully she is attractive and not crazy so we can hang out and watch television together. Then we could get drunk, build Lego bricks, and play on the Nintendo Wii or go to dinner. Story 183. I am not a flower person, but if she gave me one, forget dating, we are getting married. Story 184. No way. I'll probably toss it when she leaves the area. Story 185. Rightly or wrongly, I would appreciate the gift in private but feel awkward receiving flowers from a girl in public. Story 186. I would say thank you and be flattered, but I would not really care about the flowers themselves. I love plants and have flowers in the garden, but a bouquet is underwhelming to me. I prefer food, a quirky trinket that made you think of me, or a useful object. For example, I was once given expensive merino wool socks. They lasted a long time and were incredibly comfortable, a 10 out of 10 gift. I do not know if this is a gender thing or just a me thing. Story 187. I would find it cute if you gave them to me. I couldn't care less about the flowers themselves. Story 188. I buy my husband flowers or plants at random. He loves it, proudly displays them, and watches them bloom. Story 189. I'll tell you if it ever happens. I'd probably be ecstatic. Story 190. My wife sent flowers to my office one year for my birthday, and I was over the moon for a week. Story 191. I have been criticized before for being too feminine in how I act. I take it as an attempt to ridicule me. Story 192. Wait, what? These answers surprise me. I will tuck this one into my pocket for later. Story 193. I had a girlfriend who gave me flowers once. It blew me away and I loved it. Story 194. I can shoot fireballs now, so I would be pretty happy. Story 195. I would say it is practically a litmus test. If they react negatively, they simply do not appreciate you. Story 196. I do not really like flowers, but if someone gave them to me, I would be so happy. Story 197. The first time most men receive flowers is at their own funerals. I will be damned if the men in my life are included in that statistic. Story 198. I never understood how giving dead flowers became a thing. But if a chick gave me flowers, I would be happy. She thought of me enough to buy me something. Story 199. I'd feel so pretty. The last person to give me a flower was my son. He was 6 at the time. He picked a broken bloom up from the floor in the flowers section of the grocery store and offered it to me. I tucked it behind my ear for the rest of our errands. He thought it was wonderful, and so did I. We had a lovely outing. Story 200. A girl gave me a rose and then disappeared into the crowd. She was beautiful, and I spent the rest of the show looking for her. It was amazing. Story 201. It made me happier than I expected and put a big, dumb smile on my face the one time it happened. We've been together 7 years now. Story 202. 30 years ago, a friend of mine was buying flowers for her boyfriend and gave a single flower to me and another close friend. It was one of the sweetest, most unexpected, and memorable things that ever happened to me. Story 203. A girl gave me flowers in 1997, and I married her in 1999. We are still married, and my wife occasionally gets me flowers. Story 204. Oh, thanks. Now what do I do with this, and where the fuck do I put it? Story 205. I am not attracted to women, but I would be flattered nonetheless. Story 206. I would be her bitch. For real, my girl once gave me a flower she picked. It was the cutest thing I have ever had. I put it in my do-it-yourself frame and carry it every day in my wallet. Story 207. I would be flattered to the damn moon, but then wildly anxious because I am not sure what to do with it. When am I allowed to throw it away? Am I meant to cram it in my pocket for now? I do not own a vase. I had better see a sad kid or a hungry tortoise in the next 10 minutes so I can get rid of this burden. Story 208. I sent flowers to my dad for Mother's Day. He had extra duty after Mom passed away, and he loved them. Story 209. I'd say thank you. What is the context here? Is this a stranger or a friend? Story 210. In a conversation with friends, my now girlfriend heard that I had never received flowers. When she gave me a small bouquet of roses, I adored it, dried it, and now I enjoy seeing it every day. Story 211. It depends on whether I like her. If I do, I will show compassion. If I do not, I will tell her that I do not like flowers. Thank you. Story 212. I would melt, and that flower would end up in a display because it would be the first flower I had ever been given. Story 213. My girlfriend gives me flowers from time to time. She is very romantic. I do not care much for flowers, and she knows that, but I still enjoy the gift because it shows she thought of me. It is a cute gesture, just like her. Story 214. I do not like flowers. It is not because I am male. It is because I have a strange trait that makes them all smell like cat urine. Story 215. If I get down on one knee and propose to her, assuming I am dating her. Story 216. I love when my wife surprises me with flowers, especially when she gets my favorite flowers. It is wonderful to have that scent and be reminded of the person who gave them to me. Story 217. I would think that it is some kind of hint that she wants me to give her more flowers. Story 218. I gave my boyfriend a bouquet of paper flowers, a live orchid that lasted 2 months, a large bouquet of cut flowers, and soon he will receive a small Lego flower kit from me. I know he feels loved, cared for, seen, and special when I give him flowers because he has told me so. Story 219. If it were a random person on the street, I'd wonder whether the camera was on or whether she was going through some kind of be kind to a stranger phase. I would also wonder why she chose me. Do I look like I'm going through a rough time? Story 220. I brought my partner a huge peony to his office to brighten his day since he was working on a Saturday. He shouted that I had not made his day better but had made it worse, and that he never wanted me to do it again. I ran away crying. His reaction was a total shock. I have never understood it, especially since we were on good terms. Story 221. This happened to me. She became my girlfriend within a week, And we broke up after 3 months because we realized we were too different and had nothing in common or to talk about. In conclusion, we rushed things too much, or maybe it was just me. The flower method does work, though. Be aware, men. Story 222. The question is too vague to give an accurate answer. If I must answer vaguely, I would say thank you. Story 223. I would be incredibly happy. I am not a flower person, but that kind of gesture sounds amazing, and they would be the first flowers I have ever cared for. Story 224. This has happened twice in my life, and I missed both opportunities. The first was when I was in 8th grade at a conference. I talked with a girl for a little while, got nervous, and did not ask for her number. When we got in the elevator to leave, she ran to the door and gave me a flower. The doors closed, and I never saw her again. The second time, I was dating a girl who was very whimsical. She showed up at a show on my birthday and brought me a small flower. Story 225. I appreciate the beauty of flowers and plants, but honestly I would ask why. I do not need or want them. Story 226. My girlfriend once gave me flowers. I gave her 3 nights of cunnilingus, and I continued to receive flowers on my birthday while we were together. Story 227. I appreciate it, but I would rather she did not. This is not an I am a man, do not give me a flower attitude. I just do not see the point of flowers. Give me a plant instead. Story 228. If it were in a pot to keep or replant, that would be great. If it were intended to be temporary before dying and being thrown out, I would prefer herbs such as those sold at a farmer's market. You still get some green and color in the room, and you also get a practical payoff. They also tend to have a preferable scent, subjectively, compared with fragrant flowers. Story 229. As long as it is not actively shedding pollen, I honestly would not know what to do with it. Story 230. I love it. Someone I love gives me something beautiful because they love me. That's amazing. Any man who wouldn't appreciate that needs therapy and a punch in the face. Story 231. I would say thank you, but there really is not any point to giving me a flower. I will take dark chocolate, though. Story 232. I've had one woman buy me flowers. I won't ever forget that. Story 233. I have never received a flower from anyone. If someone gave me a flower, whether the person is a woman or a man, it would make me so happy. Story 234. My 4-year-old daughter gives me flowers all the time, and it lights up my heart. I have found my own son. If my wife brought me one, I'd probably be upset that she wasted money, but we both hate buying flowers, so fat chance. Story 235. It almost never happens, so a miracle would be appreciated. Story 236. My wife has bought me flowers more often than I have bought her. She is very lovely. Story 237. One of my female friends gave me a self-made bouquet of flowers for my birthday last year. I was so happy that I posted it on my social media and we took pictures together. This year she gave me another bouquet. She said that because I had been so happy about the first one, she wanted to do it again. Story 238. The girl gave me flowers. I really liked them. I was very sad when they eventually wilted. Story 239. I'd be extremely puzzled for a moment. I might look up the meaning of that flower online. Ultimately, we're just going to be friends because I'm not very good at those things. Story 240. I cannot remember where I heard this, but I remember a quote that most men will receive flowers only once in their life, on their deathbed. It has always stuck with me. I would say it is true, and that is probably why many men hold it in high regard. For example, my wife gave me flowers once, and I felt a mixture of emotions I had never experienced before. Story 241. My favorite flowers are sunflowers. My girlfriend always buys me a bunch for my birthday, or, if I'm having a rough time, she will bring home sunflowers and my favorite chocolate bar to cheer me up. Sunflowers remind me of my childhood and many fond memories with my grandmother, so they mean a lot to me. As a man, I enjoy receiving flowers. Story 242. It is not my thing. I would not care for it, appreciate it, or know what to do with it. Whoever gave it to me clearly does not know me. Story 243. No issue. It is a bit different, but if you have concerns, You are insecure and probably have internal problems you are not addressing. Story 244. I am probably flattered. It has never happened in my more than 40 years, so I can't tell for sure. Story 245. Guys do not receive presents often, if ever. If you give me a flower, I will wear it. When it withers, I will find a way to preserve it. Story 246. I could not help feeling suspicious if that happened, but if I were sure it was a genuine gesture, I would be surprised and happy. Depending on what I was doing, I would probably feel inconvenienced having to carry a flower around for hours. One downside to receiving spontaneous flowers in public is having to transport them. They are not convenient to carry. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.